Deer Creek Intake is a 3-year, $100 million construction project at the Deer Creek Dam and Reservoir near Provo, Utah. The project is a result of more than 4 years of planning, design, and collaboration between the Provo River Water Users Association, Advanced Engineering and Environmental Services, and Granite Construction. Built by the Bureau of Reclamation in the early 1940s, Deer Creek Reservoir supplies up to 1/3 of the water used every year on the Wasatch Front, serving a population of over 1.5 million people. This project is needed to restore the dam's aging intake and outlet works, most critically the 2 guard gates in the heart of the dam. AE2S was hired to develop ideas to create a fully redundant system, including a new bypass line with a redundant intake, a new bulkhead for the existing intake, and rehabilitating the original guard gates themselves. AE2S proposed all of this work being done in the wet, without draining the reservoir or stopping flow to all stakeholders. Using modular barges, commercial divers, and state-of-the-art microtunneling technology, the project could be completed without draining the reservoir or causing any interruptions to Deer Creek's water supply or power production. The project broke ground in May of 2023 and is not scheduled to finish until March of 2026. Let's take a look at the progress we made this year at Deer Creek. FY 2023 progress began at the marina. Granite set up their staging yard for the reservoir work at Sailboat Beach inside Deer Creek State Park. They started building a wharf to help move supplies and equipment from land to water. Equipment soon began arriving at Sailboat Beach, including 2 tugboats, 2 crew boats, and a 100-ton crane to lift them into the water. The association was able to use early procurement techniques to obtain modular barges from Poseidon. Each module is 7 feet tall, 10 feet wide, ranging from 10 to 40 feet in length. These barges for the project were designed to be assembled on site and able to be reconfigured as necessary. The first barge went to be assembled was the excavation barge. This excavation project called for a very large excavator with a custom assembled long reach boom to reach the required depths. Before they could even start construction, the large excavator had to be loaded onto the excavation barge and moved out to the dig site with tugboats. Meanwhile, back at the marina, Granite was preparing the formwork and reinforcement for 3 concrete slabs that would later be put together to form the MTBM exit portal, which would be assembled underwater by commercial divers. Altogether, these 3 slabs weighed over 250,000 pounds and required over 70 cubic yards of concrete. To move these massive slabs into place, the contractor brought in a 330-ton crane to accompany them on the barge. But before performing the final underwater installation, the construction team worked together to first assemble the exit portal on land. This dry fit process ensures the custom pieces fit together as expected and allows the team to develop a procedure that works for the divers who will be assembling and securing the structure by hand 75 feet below the water surface. Finally, the 3 precast slabs and the 330-ton crane were ready to be loaded onto the barge and moved out to the exit portal. One by one, the exit portals were lowered down off the crane barge to the excavated bench below water and secured into their proper location by the dive team. A specially designed grout mix was then pumped from the shore to the head wall to bind the concrete to the surrounding rock and to fill the voids beneath the floor and behind each of the walls. Due to the unusually high runoff this year, the water level in the reservoir was approximately 7 feet higher than anticipated during the design phase. This resulted in the subcontractors needing more divers to accomplish the same amount of work in the time specified. Bathymetry and bathymetric scanning and sonar technology were used throughout the construction to map the reservoir bottom before, during, and after the installation of the exit portal. Before demobilizing for the winter, all of Brennan's boats were pulled from the reservoir and power washed so they could be safely stored on shore until they were needed again next year. While the barges were being assembled at the marina, the contractor was also working on the dry side of the dam for construction of the soil nail wall and the MTBM launch portal. The first task on this side was installing a rock fence on the upper access road and a second fence below it to prevent animals from injuring themselves. 3 monitoring wells were also installed in this area to monitor groundwater levels throughout the project. The drill team arrived in late June and began construction of the soil nail wall. This process required Granite's team to excavate each lift of the wall so the face could be reached by horizontal drill rigs. The drill crew then drilled the nail holes, installed the soil nails, and filled the holes with grout to bind the nails to the surrounding soil. Several days later, the concrete trucks would arrive and the entire exposed face would be coated with 4 inches of shotcrete. This process was repeated for 13 lifts and over 400 total nails installed one at a time. Upon reaching lift 11, Malcolm began leaving a gap in their wall. This gap was for the future location of the MTBM launch portal. Before installing the launch portal, pre-excavation grouting experts were brought in to ensure the future microtunnel machine had a solid and dry path to enter the rock. With the pre-excavation grouting complete, the microtunneling subcontractor could build their cast-in-place concrete head wall, as well as the thrust frame for the MTBM to push against as it bores through the mountain. The thrust frame included 20-foot-long H-piles installed into drilled shafts and secured with a concrete pile cap, with additional steel beams connecting the piles and transferring the horizontal load directly into the rock. With the launch portal finished, Granite could clean up the site and prepare for winter demobilization. 2024 is going to be a big year for us, for our team, as we mobilize for both microtunneling and vault construction. The MTBM will arrive in March, and in April we will begin tunneling and installing a new 72-inch bypass. In the fall of 2024, Granite will break ground on the new vault structure for the bypass tie-in. This will require Malcolm to install 5 additional rows to the soil nail wall in that little section of the wall that needs to be excavated for the vault. AD2S would like to thank everyone who has made possible the amazing progress we've made in 2023, and we look forward to working with everybody in 2024 and 2025 on this amazing project.